for the fashion show. My name is Mary Godey. My Aunt Luann is one of the horse people. And so she lassoed me and pulled me into this. And I had a good idea that was supposed to be executed by somebody else, and they hired me. So anyway, the first year I did this, I just wanted to show everybody what Victorian underwear looked like. And I've done a couple of different dresses since then. The new dress doesn't really have much in the way of underwear, but it's kind of an interesting take on Victorians. You may have heard of a style called steampunk. Steampunk is kind of a genre of literature and fashion that comes off of the Victorian style. If you've ever read Jules Verne, he is the proto-steampunk guy. He started thinking about what the future would be like, but he was a Victorian, and so there's a bunch of people who like to imagine more modern times and technology evolving, but still with the Victorian aesthetic. And so I'm going to put on an outfit that I made kind of in the steampunk style, and in doing so I get to partake of this nice breeze. So anyway, we are going to just, first of all, everybody gets to see the corset again. It's the same corset it always is, sorry. Corsets are fun to make, but I don't need a new one. So anyway, getting out of this thing is tight. I think my arms have gotten pudgy. Nope, I got it. I didn't even realize I should use that. Okay, so anyway, that's an accurate representation of a Victorian bodice. Early Victorian, bustle period, 1874-ish. Most of them were jackets and skirts together. You can just hang that there on the back there. And they're pretty comfortable to wear if your arms haven't gotten fat. This is most of the clothes alternated openings and closing. So this one opens on the side. I have a very anachronistic safety pin holding it shut because I keep losing my button. And my petticoat opens in the front. It keeps things from building up on places. All right, so I'm going to lose it all at once. There we go. Much cooler. Much cooler. All right. So this is my underwear. I would be run out of town had I appeared like this. But I'm still more covered than anybody at the beach, so it's okay. Just hang it over the rail there. Yes, which is proper. My helpers are doing a fine job. I like it. Okay. Bring me my bag of tricks. Okay, so in my bag of tricks I have fun things. The cool thing about steampunk is it's Victorian, but it's whatever you want it to be, really. So I have a jacket. Here, Terry, you can come hold. There's a jacket that is off of an accurate representation of the 1890s period. I have a lace blouse that I just like because it has this awesome big frilly cuff with a whole bunch of buttons. When we get this all together, you'll see it's still, you look at it, you think, wow, that's pretty Victorian. This is a reproduction of what was called the wash overskirt. All the gathering is done with pull string so that it just gathers right up. It's very nice. All right. That is a very modern fabric to make my skirt, also very comfortable. Okay, you were right. For the record, Tara was right. All right, you hold that one too. Okay, we're going to start with my very comfortable, not at all historically accurate, stretchy skirt. I love it. Oh, you know what? We could lose the hat. There we go. Oh, yeah, that can go in the bag. Okay. This is just a pattern by a company called New Look. It's kind of got a flare in the back, straight in the front. When skirts were straight, it tended to be after the turn of the century, the 1910s, 12s, is when things began to get more straight like that. Let me have my blouse. All right. The best thing about this blouse is it's built-in air conditioning. Just like Tara's dress there, the Victorians were keen on lace. As lace got, as machinery, as the technology evolved to make it easier to make fabrics and lace and things like that, it got less expensive and you see more of it on different articles of clothing. But we're going to tuck that in. I have a whole lot more underwear on under this than I ordinarily would have. This one, so if it looks a little lumpy, that's just because we haven't gotten to this part yet. Got a string in the wrong spot. There we go. A lot of Victorian stuff that's poofy in the back. On the inside, you'll find whole bunches of strings. Strings and ribbons and cross ties and lots of architecture. So this one happens to have a functioning button. I think it's the only one in my wardrobe. And a couple of snaps. Yeah. All right, get her all centered. So with all that in the back, we're starting to look kind of Victorian again. All right, we'll go on this. A lot of steampunk uses leather and suede. Leather and suede are interesting to work with. And most girls that you see wearing steampunk will have some kind of a corset going on because nothing signifies Victoria like a corset. So this is just one that I made. I like to buy my suede and leather and stuff at the thrift stores. I think this is a jacket from the Salvation Army. And just cut it apart and take the stuff that I need. Hardware is also a big part of the steampunk aesthetic. Brassy things, big buttons. This part here can function on its own as a corset. It has all of the parts of a corset, the boning. It doesn't lace in the back because I chose to close it in the front. But I already have a corset on. I'm not taking it off. All right, so there's that. Actually, let's do this first. Got to do a change of hairstyle because I'm going to put on a different kind of hat. So, all right. Oh, you can hold that for me. Put that. You can hold it. All right. Got to pull out some ponytails here. Run into an errant bobby pin. This is all my own hair. There are sticks. All right. Stick number 1. And stick number 2. That's all it takes. All right. Jacket. All right, this jacket is from a truly Victorian pattern for an 1890s coat. It has been highly modified. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 buttons that I made my own self. All right. The military style is just popular throughout history. The women of the 1790s wore those redcoat looking ensembles. Women of the 1860s wore ones that looked like they're soldiers at the battlefront. It's just always been very popular to do the braids and the buttons and stuff like that. And you can always, just as corsets are a signifier of steampunk, so are top hats. So, get the bun down there where it's supposed to be. There we go. And since I am functionally blind, I have my vintage spectacles that I need practice putting on. There we go. That works for steampunk. You show up anywhere, they'll say, hey, you're one of our people. Thanks very much for your attention. I hope everyone's having a good day. If you haven't had a chance to get uptown, you should do so. There's a lot of fun stuff to do. We're going to go play cricket at the creek right after this. I've been looking forward to that all day. A lot of good food still over there, it looks like. Go over and look at the tractors and the corn grinding and everything that's going on. All that is so fascinating. And the technology is amazing. So with that, I think we will talk about, my young people here got some new dresses this year. And let's see. Oh, Maddie, you going to come up? Yeah, Maddie's going to come up. All right. They've been waiting patiently for this all day. They're such good little girls. Oh, take my Mary Poppins bag away. That is a pattern that you can buy today. It's a nice little pattern by Gee's. Gee's, G-H-E-E-S, Gee's Pattern Company. That's what they call themselves. Doesn't sound like good? All right. So anyway, these are my little girls here. This is Maddie, who lives in town, and this is my cousin Tara, who lives up in St. Louis. But you know, family, you get lassoed into this. And I did for them kind of an 1880s look for little girls. My ensemble I had on before, the brown one, had a very plain shoulder. And going into the 80s, you start to get some fluff at the sleeve there. This one still has a lot of the drapey overskirt look that the early 1870s, early 1880s had. We went more of a flat one. We don't have any skirt thing to do. Last year they wore Civil War hoop skirt styles, and they got to do a very cool swishy dance for that. But these don't have much in the way of fullness in the skirts. Turn around so they can see the back. They've got a little bit of the bustle. This would be kind of an early 80s look. Between 1878 and 1883, they all of a sudden decided not to wear the bustles anymore. For whatever reason, women decide to do anything, right? So anyway, but then come 83, 84, the bustles got great big, and then they went away entirely. It's very strange. But, you know, fashion changes. So we're okay with that. So you guys can turn back around. They've got kind of different style necklines. And they're still made of yards and yards and yards of fabric. I got to brag about this one. This is silk fabric. I love to sew on silk, and that's the fabric for both of those. Came from Hancock Fabric. So if you ever run by Hancock Fabrics and you're in the mood to look for silk fabric, look in the spot, the dock for home. This was $1.49 a yard for silk. I almost died. Bought it all. And by all, I mean like 4 rolls. Anyway, so, the Tara's hat is a reproduction bonnet style by Lynn McMasters, who is a customer you can find online. It's for the natural form, the bustle-less period between 78 and 83. And Maddie's is just kind of a straw hat that I modified to be good for the era. It's nice and shades the head. She has a curly ostrich plume. You know you can curl feathers? You curl them like curling ribbon at Christmas time. You just run your scissors along each and every one of these little feathers. It takes a while, but it looks really, really cool. And they're wearing the boots kind of like the girls would wear at that time. Boots have been good since boots have existed. Everybody who's going to stomp around loves to have a pair of boots. So that's always good for the era too. Let's see, we're going to have Andrea come up. Andrea is going to show us what happened when the bustle went away. She's got a very cool ensemble. She's going to tell you about this one because I don't know about the non-bustle period. I like bustles. So here's Andrea.
Hello. My dress is actually not Victorian, it's Edwardian. The skirt, this is, Edwardian is 1900 to 1930, roughly, first decade. This skirt is based off, I actually drafted this skirt. There's also a jacket that went with it, but it's a little worn wearing it, so it's in my car. But I actually drafted the skirt and the jacket from a vintage pattern from a pattern book called The Edwardian Modiste. So this is a actual pattern from 1907. And, what did I think else? Oh, the corset, they still wore corsets in the Edwardian era. It's a different shape. Normally with Victorian corsets, a lot of the cinching is just in the center here, hourglass shape. With the Edwardian, it's called a S-curve. So there's a lot up here and back here in the back, but the front is a lot straighter and there's less of a hourglass figure. Yeah, I didn't realize until I actually finished the corset and was wearing it that the corset shape tends to push the torso forward, so that's a little weird center of gravity, but that was the look they were going for. So I'm wearing a skirt, the usual undergarments, combo underwear, corset. I'm wearing padding, bust padding and hip padding, as well as a corset cover, and a lot of that is what gives the profile shape here. A lot of this isn't me, unfortunately. I swear all the ruffles and the padding added like 3 inches up here, so it's not mine, most of it. So just a different silhouette. The bustle was gone for several years at this point. So the skirts from the 1890s started flaring out at the hem, and they kind of stayed that way into the Edwardian era, except they got slimmer at the top as time went on. And then you get into the teens and World War I, and the skirts, like Mary said, started getting really slim and long. So, I think what else? Oh, yes, the hat. I didn't really base it off a pattern. It's just circle brim, circle crown, decorated with ribbon and flowers. I kind of just looked at fashion plates to get an idea. The hat, if I just wore this with my hair in a ponytail, it would look ridiculous, like a 2-year-old trying to wear, their mom's hat. But with the hair, which you could see the back here, it's wrapped up in those big Edwardian hairstyles, so the hats also got really big. So just in comparison, the circumference of the crown here is 9.5 inches wide, which would be gigantic for a regular person's head, but with the hair, it fits nicely. So those are some of the things that are different between the bustle era and the Edwardian era.
All right, we have another very fun era to talk about. Are you guys going to come on? The 50s was awesome too. The 50s share with the Victorian era the idea of the really accented waist. Some periods made their skirts huge, like the French court gowns that go all the way out to there. It was all to give the illusion of having a smaller waist, and it comes and it goes. And a cool thing about the 50s, these big wide skirts come from rationing in World War II. After World War II, Christian Dior started the trend for the great big skirt because fabric rationing was no longer in force, and so women could wear those great big voluminous skirts, and they loved them. So these guys are wearing just your basic, like, iconic 1950s poodle skirt. My mother, who was there, incidentally, helped me get these together. She said, I said, were pearls the only sort of thing that you put on your poodle? And she said, well, on hers, yes, she was knee-deep in pearls. But you could decorate them any way that you wanted. And you can wear them with a sweater like they've got. You could have a dress, a shirtwaist dress with the great big circle skirt. And these are full circle skirts. If you laid it out, it's a complete circle. And it's got just the cute little poodles and their leash there. I once had a skirt like that I decorated with a flamingo. It was the 80s take on the 1950s. But anyway, you guys sounded great today. I could hear you clear over there. It was fabulous. I love that. Do you guys have anything you want to say? No? All right. Thanks for coming up. This has been an awesome Heritage Day, I think. We got the nice weather mostly.